afternoon. So we're looking at unit factors for 7th grade because it's something that if you don't get can be pretty frustrating. You don't spend a whole lot of time on it, so we'll have this here. So if you want to practice, you can. Okay, so I had a couple questions. And another reason why I wanted to do this is because if you take it home and you ask your parents about it, and they might show you a different way to do this, because there's all sorts of different ways to get this answer, but the way we did it with our unit rates is it ties in with this whole chapter, which has been about unit rates. So it's gonna be different ways to do this. I'm just gonna show you one way. Okay, so your parents aren't trying to confuse you, and parents don't think that I'm trying to confuse the kids. Okay, so here we go. Pipe. Skip down to 4 and 5. Pipe's leaking 1.5 cups per day. So this is our original amount, cups per day. And we want to convert that to a different rate, which is gallons per week. Okay, so we're going to start with the rate it gives us, 1.5 cups every 1 day. Okay, and we know at the end we want to end up with some number of gallons per week. So we want gallons and weeks to be our units we're left with. But right now we have cups and days, so I'm going to need to change both of these. Okay, so if we start with this one here, it gives us a hint, so let's start there. 1 gallon is 16 cups. So that's a rate. We can write that as a fraction or a ratio. And we could either put this as, don't write this down, just write it down here so we can see 1 gallon to 16 cups, or this is 16 cups over 1 gallon, right? Because they're equivalent, this is just one number over itself, and anything divided by itself is just 1. So either way we write this is correct, but we want to write it in a way so that it ends up looking like this rate here. So since gallons is on top, I'm going to want to have gallons on top. Okay, so 1 gallon, and that is 16 cups. And the other way to think of this is, since all we can be left with are these two rates here, since we had cups on top, when we multiply these together, we're going to end up with cups divided by cups, and these will actually cancel out, which is what we want. We want to get rid of this unit and replace it with something else. Okay, that's one part. Actually, whoops, move this over a little bit. Okay, and now we have our second rate here, our time. So we want to go from days to weeks. So again, we can either say that 1 week is 7 days, or, oh, this is not the best handwriting, or 7 days is 1 week. So now this time, we want weeks to be on the bottom, so we're going to go with this rate here. So we say 1 week and 7 days. Okay, and then again, this will cancel out. You have days on the bottom, days on the top, those go away. And all we're left with, the only units we have remaining, are gallons and weeks, which is what we were looking for. Okay, that's the first part. That's the tricky part. The rest is just math now. So we're going to multiply straight across. So we have 1.5 times 1. So times 1 is just 1.5. And then times 7. So I have to work that out. 1.5 times 7. This will be 35. 7 plus 3 is 10. We have one decimal place here, so we need 1 in our answer. So we have 10.5 gallons. And then on the bottom, we just have 1 times 16 times 1. So that's just 16. So 10.5 gallons in 16 weeks, which is not a great answer, right? Because we want to know gallons per week. So we want for just 1 week. So we have to do a final step almost always, unless this happens to be 1, So we need to divide these two numbers. So 10.5 divided by 16. And I actually don't know what this is, so this will be fun. 16 can't go into 10. It's going to be 0, so it's going to be point something, right? I don't know, let's say 5? What's 16 times 5? That's a 0, 3, well, that's 80, right? So that's not enough. I can probably get another 16. So what about 16 times 6? So that's 36. 96. I don't think I could get another 16 in there. So that's 6. This would be 9 left over. Bring down to 0. 16 into 90. Well, 6 would be too much. It would be 5. So if we say let's go one more. We can go 2 decimal places. I've got nowhere else to be today. 16 into 100. Well, that's 6 again. So if we say 0.656, that won't repeat. That'll just keep on going. So if we round this to 2 decimal places, we can practice our rounding here. So this third number in our thousandths place is more than 5. So we can round this up 1. So we can say it's about, where do I want to put my answer? Let's get rid of this. Put it underneath our unsimplified rate. So we can say it's about 0.66 gallons per week. So all we did, we didn't change anything. We didn't even really solve for anything. We just said if it's 1.5 cups per day, that is equivalent to 0.66 gallons per week. So to somebody who doesn't know how cups per day work, if they're more familiar with gallons per week, this is a much more useful number than that one there. Okay? And for us, it's a correct answer, and that's really all we want, right? So that's it. So this takes a while. I'm not gonna lie. That's why we set up a lot of this in class. So hopefully you didn't have too much to do tonight. So let's shrink this up so we can look at number 2. Oops. There we go. All right. Now I'm gonna bring my chart up for the next one too. So Charlie runs 3 yards per second. I want to know how many miles per hour that is. And again, this is something we can do in different ways, but we're gonna do this just off of this chart because we wanna be able to do this without having to go outside of the chart that was in our book. So we're gonna start with yards per second, 3 yards per second. And we want to end up at miles. There's no L. Alright, I just forgot the word. Miles per hour. No L in the abbreviation. MI for miles. Okay. So what do we know? Actually, let's start with seconds, which actually isn't on the chart, but it was on the warm-up on the page previous to this chart, so you can find that. We said that 1 hour is equivalent to 3,600 seconds. Okay, and we know, since we want hours on the bottom, we're going to put 1 hour down here. Okay, and 3,600 seconds on top, because that way seconds and seconds cancels out. We're left with just hours, which is the rate, the unit that we want. Okay, so now we need to go from yards to miles. So I don't have anything that tells me how many yards are in a mile, and I know we can figure that out, and we're going to see how we're going to do the same work, just worded a little bit differently. But let's take this right here at 3 feet. It's 1 yard. Okay, so 5 yards on top. I want to put 1 yard on the bottom, and that is 3 feet times this. Okay, and then now we don't have yards anymore. Now we have feet, and now we want to go from feet to miles. And feet to miles, that is something on our chart. That's right here. So we know 5,280 feet is 1 mile. Okay. And so now, if we cancel this out, sort of all over the place with my colors here, let's just go green. So feet and feet cancel out. So all of our units have canceled except for miles and hours. And miles and hours, that's what we wanted. So we're good as far as setting it up. Now we just need to do the math. Just sort of the tricky part here. So we have 3 times 3600 times 3. So I'm going to be a little lazy, and I'm going to multiply my little numbers first. 3 times 3 is 9, and then I have 3600 times 9. So that's 0, 0, 6 times 9 is 54. 27 times 5 is 32. So we have 32,400. Oh boy. Whoops, that's the wrong number. 400. I'm not excited about this next step. Over, we have 1 times 1 times 1 times 5,280, which is just 5,280. So he is going 32,400 miles every 5,280 hours, which is a super not useful number here. And since you all are here, you're watching this, we can set this up. This is, oops, maybe I can set this up. 32,400 divided by 5280. You know what? Let's not even, I was talking about getting a calculator, but let's not be lame. Let's do this hard work. Let me fix this and watch it do the work, because we're hard-working people. So we can cross out 1 0, right? So 528 into 3,240. And I don't know how many times that goes into this, so I'm going to say, let's say 5. It's a good number to start with. It's 528 times 5. Oh boy, long division. Lots of fun. Let's see, 40. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 4 more is 14. And then 26. So 2,640. I think I can get one more in. So 528 times 6. So that's 8, 48. 6 times 2 is 12. And 16. And then 3168. Alright, perfect. So 528 goes into 3,240 6 times. It's going 6 point some number of miles per hour. 3, 1, 6, 8. We need to borrow. So 3 and 10. This is 2. And to borrow again. So 1. I don't even know this is 13. That's a 13. I can read my handwriting. You might not be able to. Hopefully you're listening. This is going to be 7. 1 minus 1, 0. 0. So we can now bring down 0. 528 goes into 720 one time. That's just 528. So we borrow again. So 2. Borrow from here. This is 9. So 192. One more 0. Does this give us about how many miles per hour? Well, let's say, in the interest of not spending more time on this, 1920, if I wanted to round to the nearest tenth, right? Let's say I just want to stop here. I just want to know if this rounds up or down. So 1920, for this to round up, this has to be something 5 or more. And I know 528 times 5 is this 2640, which is more than what I have left, which tells me that this last number, right, it's going to be less than 5, which means this would round down, so it's going to stay at 1. So we're going to be a little lazy. We're going to call this 6.1, and that's miles per hour. Okay? It's a little tough, I'm not going to lie. So what we could have done, if there's 3 feet in a yard, right, and 5,280 feet per mile, we could have said 5,280 divided by 3, and that would have given us some number of feet per, what am I doing? No, not feet, but yards per mile, right? But if we look, we still had that 3 in the 5280. We're still doing this division. It's just the order in which we did it gets mixed around a little bit. Okay? So we're still doing the same math. No matter how you work this out, you'll get to it the same way. Assuming, of course, I did this correctly, which I hope I did. If not, you can tell me I messed up tomorrow. Okay? So hopefully this helped out. So have a good night.